Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. It's unacceptable Bradley Walsh drops very painful update just a few minutes ago. Broken our hearts, this news must say. The rhythmic thrum of the final chase music was, for me, a nightly siren song. It meant another hour of intellectual jousting, quick-fire wit, and the singular, effervescent presence of Bradley Walsh. He was, and remains, the linchpin of the chase, the vibrant thread that weaves together the tension, the triumphs, and the occasional spectacular faceplants. His brilliance wasn't merely in reading questions or keeping time. It was in his uncanny ability to be simultaneously the contestants' biggest cheerleader and their benevolent tormentor. He had a laugh that could fill a stadium, a genuine warmth that melted away camera nerves, and a knack for finding the absurd in even the most mundane of quiz questions. My evenings post-work often revolved around this ritual. Cup of tea, feet up, remote clutched tight. As soon as Bradley's familiar grin filled the screen, a sense of rightness settled in. He wasn't just a presenter. He was a master conductor of chaos, a comedic maestro who could turn a fluffed answer into a moment of shared, unadulterated hilarity. The way he'd mimic a contestant's bewildered expression, or the sheer joy with which he'd announce a successful escape from the chaser, it was infectious. He was the human element in a gladiatorial arena of general knowledge, and without him, the show would lose its soul. Take, for instance, the time a contestant, clearly flustered, answered a badger to a question about a famous explorer. Bradley didn't just move on. He paused, one eyebrow arching in theatrical disbelief, before collapsing into a fit of giggles, so profound it threatened to derail the entire segment. The contestant, initially mortified, ended up laughing along, the tension diffusing into genuine mirth. That was Bradley's magic, turning awkwardness into amusement, creating a bond with complete strangers in a matter of minutes. He was a natural, a television force of nature, and my admiration for his craft was boundless. Each show was a testament to his unique ability to connect, to empathize, to entertain. He was a comfort, a constant, and a joyous presence in a world that often felt anything but. His rapid-fire banter with the chasers, the subtle digs, the genuine respect laced with playful rivalry, it all contributed to the tapestry of entertainment that made The Chase so much more than just a quiz show. It was a spectacle, and Bradley was its undisputed star. But then it started. Slowly at first, an almost imperceptible tremor in the otherwise flawless machinery of my viewing pleasure. It wasn't anything major, no glaring flaw in the show's format, or the chasers' formidable intellect. It was something far more insidious, a tiny, almost microscopic grain of sand in the otherwise perfectly oiled gears of Bradley Walsh's performance. It began, subtly, in the final chase. That crucial, nail-biting segment where every second counted, where a team of hopefuls, often with their dreams of a life-changing sum hanging precariously in the balance, faced the relentless onslaught of the chaser's rapid-fire questions. It was Bradley's laugh. Not his usual, infectious belly laugh that accompanied a genuinely hilarious moment. No, this was different. This was the other laugh. The one that came when a question, or more accurately, a contestant's wrong answer, was so spectacularly off-kilter, so utterly nonsensical, that it transcended mere error and entered the realm of the truly absurd. And when this happened, Bradley would, inevitably, break. He would seize up, a choked gurgle escaping his lips, his eyes crinkling at the corners, and then a full-blown, convulsive fit of giggles would take hold. His shoulders would shake, his head would drop, and he would be, for all intents and purposes, entirely incapacitated by mirth. My initial reaction was, of course, amusement. It was Bradley being Bradley, his genuine, unrehearsed personality shining through. It was endearing, even. But as the episodes piled up, as the final chase became more frequent, and as the margins between victory and defeat narrowed to a razor's edge, a faint, almost imperceptible whisper of irritation began to form in my mind. Because while Bradley was laughing, the clock was still ticking. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. Each second of his uncontrollable merriment was a second lost to the contestants, a precious fraction of time that could mean the difference between pushing back the chaser one more step and watching their dreams dissolve into the ITV studio lights. It became a macabre fascination. I started to time it. Not with a stopwatch, but with a mental tally. 2 seconds here, 3 seconds there. Sometimes, on a particularly egregious answer, it could stretch to 5 or even 6 seconds of pure, unadulterated Bradley giggle-induced paralysis. I'd find myself leaning forward, fists clenched, muttering at the screen, "Come on, Bradley, get it together." Time. It was irrational, I knew. After all, the man was a national treasure, and his spontaneity was part of his charm. But in the high-stakes pressure cooker of the final chase, where a single question could change everything, those lost seconds felt like an act of accidental sabotage. It was a tiny, recurring betrayal, delivered with the brightest smile and the most joyous, yet most infuriating of laughs. The obsession, once a whisper, soon morphed into a full-blown, if slightly embarrassing, fixation. My partner, bless her patient soul, would often catch me muttering at the television, eyes glued to Bradley's face, predicting the onset of his infamous giggle fit. "He's going to go." I'd whisper, pointing a finger at the screen as a contestant fumbled a particularly obvious question. And more often than not, I was right. Bradley's facial muscles would begin to twitch, a telltale glimmer of suppressed amusement in his eyes, before the dam finally burst. It wasn't just the laugh itself, it was the entire ritual. The way he'd try, bless him, to regain composure, his voice cracking mid-sentence, his shoulders still juddering with residual mirth. He'd glance up at the clock, a flicker of guilt, perhaps, in his eyes, as if acknowledging the precious seconds slipping away. But the damage was done. The rhythm of the questions was broken, the momentum disrupted, and the chaser, calm and collected, would inevitably continue their relentless pursuit. I started keeping a mental scorecard, not of the chaser's successful catches, but of Bradley's giggle-induced timeouts. That was a 3-second laugh, I'd declare, much to my partner's bemusement. Could have got another push back there. My frustration wasn't malicious. It was born of a deep-seated desire for the contestants to succeed. I felt their pain, their nervous energy, their desperate hope. And in those moments, Bradley's infectious, time-consuming joy felt like a hurdle, an unexpected bossed battle against the very person who was supposed to be guiding them to victory. It was a bizarre paradox. The very quality that made him so lovable, his genuine, unvarnished personality, was also, at times, the source of my profound, albeit petty, exasperation. It was like watching a brilliant footballer score an incredible goal, only to trip over his own feet during the celebration and sprain an ankle, costing the team a crucial moment. The beauty of the act was undeniable, but the consequence was maddening. A subtle, psychological ploy to unnerve the chaser by demonstrating his own human fallibility. Or was it simply the genuine, uncontrollable reaction of a man who found joy in the absurdities of life, even when those absurdities had financial implications for others? I leaned towards the latter, but the former was a far more entertaining conspiracy theory to entertain during the ad breaks. This minor quirk became a core part of my viewing experience, an anticipation that added another layer to the already thrilling drama of the chase. Then came the night that cemented my paradoxical love-hate relationship with Bradley's giggling fits. It was a final chase, 3 contestants, a respectable cash builder, and a formidable chaser, the Beast. They had managed a decent number of steps, 20 in total, and the atmosphere in our living room was electric. Every question was crucial, every answer met with bated breath. The chaser was hot on their heels, making quick work of his questions. The gap was narrowing, step by agonizing step. The final minute arrived. The team needed just 2 more pushbacks. Bradley, sweat beading on his forehead, was rattling off questions with impressive speed. Then came that question. Which mythological creature is said to guard the Golden Fleece? A simple enough question for a quiz show, perhaps. But the contestant, under immense pressure, blurted out, a fluffy lamb. And that was it. The trigger. Bradley froze. His eyes widened. A little gasp escaped him. And then, slowly at first, a tremor started. It wasn't a quick chuckle this time. It was a slow burn, building crescendo of suppressed laughter. His face contorted, his shoulders began to heave, and he eventually crumpled over the podium, shaking with silent mirth. The precious seconds, each one a heartbeat of hope, ticked away. 1, 2, 3, 4. He struggled to regain composure, wiping tears from his eyes, gasping for air. A fluffy lamb, he managed to croak, before another wave of giggles swept over him.